Fam Collectibles.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Comics, Collectibles, and Cafecitos. I'm your host, co-host, Anthony Ramirez with Fam Collectibles at ramfamcollectibles.com. Free shipping over $99. And my co-host, Chris.
Omega, Fanatically Correct. Please check out our previous episodes, fanaticallycorrect.com, at Linktree. Get all our good stuff there, too. We're going to wrap up Spawn.
Season 1.
Comics,
can I have
Collectibles, and sugar. Hold on.
You put extra sugar?
No, I did not.
I need to raise those insulin levels, but so I started before we even jump into this. Before we even talk about Spawn season 1, I started carnivore diet. I actually call it the carnivore diet.
Carnival diet.
Because I'm an illiterate idiot, and my wife laughs at me at everything I do. And she's like, "You're just eating fucking fried food and hot dogs all the time."
That's carnivore?
No,
I think carnivore's
carnivore.
meat. Carnival. That's what you're frying your.
And I was like, "Oh no, I'm doing a carnivore."
I'm sure that diet. That's kind of like the Fat Tony diet. So yes, on that note, I myself were both subconsciously, apparently, because I'm getting into some fasting, hence no sugar in mine.
Extra.
Wait, that's yours? Yeah. Okay. Spawn. So we're going to do little doodles and stuff like that every once in a while for our cups and our guests and things like that with Comic Collectibles and Cafecito. But yeah, so I'm going with the fasting, and the reason for that is on my first note of Spawn is that Al Simmons, right?
Yeah.
Spawn. He is not the most friendliest person to the heavyset.
Nah, dude. He fat shames the fuck out of people.
Seriously. So specifics, fat bastard. Sorry, I fatted.
We're quoting him, by the way. We're not calling anyone this.
No. This is what Al Simmons has quoted. It's usually directed towards Fat Tony, even though Verminator's also on the heavy side when he's not in demon mode. When he's not
clown. Jerking off to his wife's photo.
Sick bastard. Fat bastard. Fat piece of shit. Fat fuck. Yeah, Spawn always has some nice, colorful commentary towards the weight and metabolism incline.
I started doing push-ups in the morning. Now
Seriously, man. So yeah, he's definitely not a friend of the fatties, but he's hardcore. But it's pretty funny. And I brought that up. That was the only thing with Fat Tony. So I have notes here for our season 1. A wrap-up of season 1 of Spawn. And, of course, again, watch it, HBO.
Ugh, God, we keep on saying it.
It's
Max.
Yeah, it's Max now, that's right. But it's an HBO Max series, so Correct. It says
1997, HBO, baby.
The old school
yeah.
HBO coming up at the beginning that you would get it. And, so that was one of the first notes at Tony. Great character. Guy completely just defines greed and
overindulgence.
Yeah. Total
that
Tony.
Was not scripted.
Yeah, Tony Soprano. Yeah, you owe me a Coke. Tony, he's like a Tony Soprano, just like always, just got to show how he just dives into everything. And
it's
I was
like
one of
big
notes,
dick energy.
Always 2 women. That guy's never with one girl at a time.
I can barely satisfy one woman.
Who wants to head? Well, he's not worried about their. He's not worried about their satisfaction. That's the whole point. He's not at all. It's funny. They're not a concern.
What's funny about
and not like
him
it would take 2 of them to satify him.
I was gonna say, I feel like he's such a fat piece of shit. Oh yeah, he's such a fat piece of shit that he doesn't even need it. He doesn't even need 2 women. No. He probably doesn't even need 1 woman.
The one who doesn't this season, but I bet you at some point in season 2 he's going to get it, is the other detective, the heavyset detective.
Oh, yeah.
Not Twitch, the other one.
He does, yeah.
Twitch is the cool older guy with the glasses.
The detective that he's talking about, I mentioned it on a previous episode. Yeah. He's this fat piece of shit.
Yeah.
I guess I'm like Spawn now.
But he's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Shit,
but he's like this old, rundown, beaten up detective that's been on the job so long that like protocols fly out the window, procedures fly out the window. He's walking into a crime scene, eating donuts, stepping and smearing into blood.
Doesn't care.
Like, maybe it's less of like I don't care and more of like a complacency with him.
Yeah.
But what's so funny is his interaction with what I assume to be his lieutenant or number 2.
Twitch, his partner.
Twitch almost enables him to do these things. Like, sir, another great crime that you solved.
His own personal
sir.
Private joke working with this guy.
Yeah.
Where like the Gordon and Bullet, you know what I mean?
Perfect example.
And Batman, Gordon doesn't indulge him, dude. But Gordon's like, you freaking scumbag. You know what I mean? Like, he has a more where Twitch is very complacent in his role as a number 2, like a Watson.
Yeah.
Except but like almost like I'm happy here because I do all the work, and all I got to do to be able to indulge myself in these cases and everything like that is get this guy donuts and just like be nice to him.
Do you want to go
and let
get
him get away
fried
with being
food,
a
or do you want to
fat
get
piece of
greasy
shit.
food for your breakfast?
Yeah,
It's
specific.
like, let's do both. It's a stressful day.
And so here we are, perfect
Suge
scene.
Knight.
The Shook Knight Vanilla Ice off the balcony, the most used. Batman uses it a lot. And it happens. So speaking of Suge Knight Vanilla Ice, it's real life. So it's not just a comic book, movie, cartoon, or way of getting people to give you information of holding over the building. Real life does it too.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I have 6 kids. The first thing I resort to is I pick them up, I flip them upside down, and I just say, "Tell me what I want to know." No, I don't need no window.
Where are the other toys?
I got a tile fucking floor. I'm gonna find out what I want.
these socks from the floor?
Exactly.
Hanging off the balcony.
Who the fuck left the light on upstairs? You don't
terrible.
want to confess?
Yeah,
Upside down.
Here's the fat shit eating his breakfast order. Yeah. So Fat Tony, great character. I'll go into some character stuff. Before I do, one of the fantastic things is we talked about this and we didn't know what it was, so I had to find out what it was, which is the numbers.
The timer.
The timer, yeah, the clock at the beginning of every episode.
There's this green bar, and episode 1, I think it's one of the first things you see. It just starts with 9999. And one of the first questions I asked you, and I at the time you didn't recall.
I recall it. Like, I know it means something. It's like a
number?
count or something. And it's actually really cool. And I think the reason I remember is I don't know if they get a chance since it erupts, it ends abruptly in season 3. Oh, you got the molasses at the bottom. Look at this guy. I'm going to bring that glucose machine for sure. But yeah, so I looked it up, and again, I don't know if they got a chance to really get into it in the series. Apparently, it's a big thing in the comic books.
They don't talk about this shit at all.
No,
it's just in there.
yeah. I'm saying even season 2 and 3. Like, I don't think they get a chance to really get into this. I hope they do. I don't remember.
You have to
It's
go
been a
in
while.
knowing who Spawn is.
Yeah, and in the comic books, they explain it. What it is, that's actually his level of necroplasm, which
that's
is
his power level.
His
almost.
power level from hell, his energy, his hell magic. You know what I mean?
I can resist a bullet.
Energy.
I can take a punch.
That's what heals him. That's what throws the chains. That's what teleports him.
Yep.
All those things. So in the beginning, he's, the excuse for using firearms and things like that is that it's what he's used to. It's what he knows. It's how he killed as
because he's
a mortal.
trained CIA assassin.
Exactly.
He gets his orders. That's the guy.
He reverts to what he knows, what his mortality knows. But then as he gets more in tune with his Spawn-like abilities, he's still going to have to revert to that, because if he wastes that power on mortals, when he's fighting like demons and archangels and things like that, he's going to need the Hellspawn power, the necroplasm. And if he's empty on that, then if he dies,
that's it.
I guess he dies. You know what I mean? Like, he's already a soul. So
okay, so
it might
that's
be
the question,
over for
right?
good.
So I'm immortal as Al. I'm on my job. I get betrayed. I get murdered. I go and I essentially sell my soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Now I'm Spawn. So when that power, I'm just going to call it power level because it sounds cool and I like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So when that power level of over 9,000 drops down to 0, the fuck happens? Does he cease to exist?
So from what I understand, I don't think it's his existence that goes away, but his abilities will go away.
Okay, so
which means he
his abilities
can
go away.
die. Maybe
I'm the homeless guy that's sick of seeing all my friends
then
die.
that's it.
Stab him in the
I
back.
would think, and again, I have to get heavy into the comic books, that would mean his existence is gone. Like,
That's crazy.
In other words, if you've already done the hell thing, unless
Yeah.
there's an after,
Unless
like
the
supernatural
devil's
is
like,
done,
all right, dude, we
you're
have to
done.
make
That's
a
it.
new
There is
deal.
no
Yeah.
heaven, hell, or just no longer exists. Like,
wild,
energy gone, if that's,
Speaking
even
of
possible.
energy that needs to be gone, this fat ginger fuck.
Yeah, the
needs to
pedophile. He
go.
does. We'll get into that now. But overall, with the necroplasm, so apparently there's a way that he'll be able to recharge that. In the comic books, they get into that.
Killing souls.
Killing
people
demons, I
and
believe.
stealing
He
their
absorbs
souls.
their, almost like a vampire, absorbs their energy or whatnot to be for, get that full fledged. Or I don't know if he could take it from, I don't know if it's grounded to only necroplasm. Maybe he can get energy from archangels and heaven's energy if he's able
It's
to.
basically
as
you made a deal with me. You're going to be one of my generals in my war. If you want more power, you're going to have to essentially do our deal. You have to go fight in this war.
Exactly. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like I'm guessing that he could get that energy rised up from taking it from the other side. Of course,
Right.
that would be what they want.
Make more
But he's
sense.
probably gonna find out he can get it from Hell's side.
Yeah.
He kills
I'm
the
gonna go
Verminator.
kill
He
this-
gets his energy. So it's like,
A pedophile, a murderer, a bank robber.
Well, I don't know because those are
whatever.
mortal. So I don't know if he
I
gets
hope he
from the
does.
mortal energy. You know what I
I
mean?
hope he
Because
does.
it's on unearthly power. So I don't know if he can get that unearthly power from
makes sense.
from Earth.
Yeah.
Beings. So that being said, but yeah, this
dude's
ginger
a psycho fuck.
psycho.
So
evil
if
fuck.
you haven't watched it, there's this whole season. There's a lot of stuff happening, and that's what I really like. So if you like gritty, dark, comic series, animated form with just a beautiful splash of nudity, check out Spawn because this thing's amazing. It's made in '96 on Max, HBO.
Yeah, the animation style very similar to the animation of the time, which was like X-Men, Amazing Spider-Man, Batman the Animated Series. Both very similar shows in the sense of tortured souls.
You can knock this whole season. You can knock out the series. In a day. You start first thing in the morning, eat breakfast.
It's short enough.
Before the sun goes down, you can be done with this stuff.
So, and then you got a closet just in the first season alone of villains. You have Chapel, which is his best friend, brother, who betrayed him. Yeah, betrayed him and killed him, and pops right away two of Fat Tony's broads in the room because you have that main villain that he doesn't, the Lex Luthor, but actually even darker than Lex Luthor because like Lex Luthor wants to be president, wants to be the guy in charge, where this guy just wants to puppet
and he's
master.
Okay with being in the forefront.
Exactly. He
and
wants
this guy's like
this guy has no nepotism. No narcissism.
He walks in. I'm sure you remember. He walks in on Fat Tony. He's
kills
banging
two broads.
these two prostitute strippers. Who knows?
He has Chapel clip him.
Pop, pop. I don't want no witnesses where I'm
where
going,
I've
baby.
been,
no
where
one's
I've
gonna
been.
know.
Like he almost wants his like the devil. He wants his existence
unknown
and not know where he is, so he can puppeteer and pull all the strings from the shadows happily. So no narcissism from this guy of wanting to be he does want his respect from everyone in the dark world and in the world of crime and evil, but not out in the open. That's why he's trying to be a kingmaker and turn the senator into president. So he's the father of this pedophile that's killing kids.
What's great about this series is that it just spider webs into multiple storylines. So give me 1 second here. So and add to this. So we have Al figuring out what he is, what he's done, and what's going on. You have the Verminator's very small story arc of kind of nudging this guy behind the scenes, causing certain things to happen.
To turn him into a Spawn.
We have this Lex Luthor X-type person who we don't really know anything other than he can manipulate a senator. He can manipulate these big mobsters. Like he's very high, very wealthy. He knows anyone and everyone in this dark underground world. We have Al's wife, Wanda, who moved on with the best friend that betrayed Al. They had a kid. Now there's a kid involved. He still falls in love with Wanda. We have this pedophile who's kind of on this own little story arc. I mean, and that's just like the big five. But then there's like the detectives,
the cyborg,
the cyborg.
Overkill.
There's so much. I mean, these homeless people too kind of have this small little story arc where they humanize Spawn, and they're like, "Hey, dude, you kind of need us. Like, you are us, whether you believe it or not."
You're a social creature still.
So many things happening here.
It is. It's very conflicted, but it has a good moving pace. Like the animated shows that were child friendly that we watch, has all the action, but just stays focused with its storyline, constantly progressing it. Very dark. I mean, here we're getting into it with the sad man. No one knows what it's like to be the sad man. But so Spawn, is the sad man. And that's what's wild. So here we get to this point coming up at the end of the season, and that's what it's all accumulating to, is him making the choice. He was used to killing, justified killing as an assassin. Now he knows heaven and hell exist. He's been, he made a deal to see Wanda against. He already sold his soul, but he already sold his soul in life. So he already ended up in hell. But to get out of hell, he made a deal to become the general, a general in hell's army. So I feel like what's happened now is like, okay, now there is no excuses. You're going to know that, maybe killing evil is one thing, and that's, but once you get to a point where you realize I'm making a choice here to be judge, jury, and executioner. It's not defending yourself. It's not defending someone else. Here's a moment. You stop the person.
Right.
They're on their own. What are you going to do? You're going to let them find justice and go through that process.
Like a mortal justice system.
And that's, on a side note on that, and I'll get into with the whole concept of the evil character that the Verminator is, and then what they do with the ginger son of the senator that's murdering children, where at the very moment where, Al's going to do him in, you see his trauma. You see him broken. You see him as maybe a child at one point that was also hurt and injured, and now it's that very moment we're like, okay, now this is what's going to make you a Spawn. Even though that's an evil person that does evil acts, at this very moment you know that you are killing a mortal. You're killing a soul that maybe can be salvaged outside of this realm of evil, whatever, who knows, maybe millennial of years, depending on what you believe in, but the possibility's there. You are now deciding to end that life, not in defense, not in a war, not in just right this moment. and he chooses not to, which is not. That's the moment he's on the other side of the war now.
Right.
And that's where it's going to get interesting. And what I do like about that is that you have the character of the Verminator, pure evil, clips this guy with no problem.
So,
just like,
so hang on, let's set it up a little bit. So he
Yeah.
falls. He's in this alleyway. He's on his back. I mean, he's gushing blood out of his
crying for his
body.
mom, right?
Yeah,
Or his dad.
he's
His
screaming.
mommy.
You know, I mean, which.
Yeah.
Any person that's like at the line, I can absolutely. You know what it reminded me of a little bit? It's Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
The medic.
Yeah.
Who gets shot in the stomach and he's like trying to walk through and then he knows he's like, mommy.
Yeah.
Gut wrenching.
You go, you revert
Now
to
this
your
isn't
childhood.
necessarily as emotionally impacting.
No, because we don't care about this character. We
I
want to see him
want
die.
him to die,
Yeah,
right?
we're rooting for him to frack his skull.
And right now, so we're watching this. I mean, it's kind of playing in the background, but he leaves him. He throws him to trash cans. He hits his head. So now he's laying there. The Verminator, who sees this opportunity, just walks up. And listen, the Verminator is a literal demon.
Yeah.
And just
Pure
essentially
evil.
a human costume. A human-esque costume.
Yeah.
He sees this, gets
Humanoid.
upset. He jumps down. And again, this is a demon from hell that can essentially teleport you into the worst realms ever,
Yeah.
torture you and just dismember you, bite you, tear you apart, literally limb from limb. And he walks up to him. He looks over him. He bends over and he face to face, kind of like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's looking at him and he says whatever the fuck he says. He goes, "You're not getting away that easy." And then this motherfucker pulls out a gun.
Yep.
And shoots him in the
Right there,
dude,
blast him
pops
in
him
the
right in
face
the head and
with
kills
a
him.
revolver.
He goes, so
Yeah.
that just
I also
shows.
think there's a point that, at this very moment, on second thought, it could be more of a. This is a war that's not supposed to be exactly completely known by the mortal world.
Oh, it's not.
And that's what I'm saying. So he's already in the alley. The cops were chasing everything. If he does Verminator shit to him, it's gonna, as it is, Al, Simmons, Spawn is doing heinous things that dude is unexplainable. If he does that, they're like, dude, so a bullet to the head,
Human did this.
yeah, a human did it exactly,
Okay,
or
but
he
if
did
I
it to himself.
But if I see his flesh ripped from his bones,
exactly,
be like, dude,
what
a human
did
didn't do
this,
this shit.
or he clipped himself.
Got it.
And in fairness, the little girl's with him, and she's spared further trauma.
He's holding her with
Exactly.
his cape.
So think about it. If he
body.
would have done him in, she would have
That's a
seen
good
that.
point. Yeah.
And she's already been through enough trauma. Fortunately, she was blindfolded for most of it.
Yep.
And she was luckily that all this got, resolved
Right.
before he did things to her.
In the car
because he
chase
just
and stuff
kidnapped her
too,
from
yeah.
the mob and took her and didn't get the chance to do the things he's done to other children. She just went for a scary car ride. And, so all that trauma that she already has, to see this agent of hell rip some human to shreds, you know what I mean? Whatever the case is, she would never come back from that, you know what I mean? So, he did the best he could to spare her as well, which again shows the kindness and good, not an agent of hell.
And then, as he essentially comforts the daughter of the love of his life, that's not his
daughter, another man
gives her his wedding band ring that says Al and Wanda forever.
And that's what she tells her mom. It's who gave it to
and
the sad man.
Yeah, the sad man, and gave him this ring, and it's
Which that's
unbelievable.
gonna jump. We already know season 2, so it's gonna pop off, and that's almost like the energy level we talked about earlier. That kind of in syncs metaphorically with the countdown clock to the war.
Yeah.
Is what I'm understanding. Along with his energy level, and that's what's gonna happen when war sets off. He has to find out a way to increase his energy level because now he's not fighting humans.
Yeah.
He's gonna need his spawn powers. Guns aren't gonna cut it. But yeah, that being said, it lines up with the heaven and hell battle and just all of that accumulating, that's going to be where season 2, the direction it heads in. But they left you with this note that there's still going to be stuff for Wanda because now she knows he exists somehow.
Exactly.
He's back. He got him. He saved.
There it is.
There it is. He saved Al and Wanda forever, which is inscribed on both their wedding bands. So she's going to know. And you had brought up before the episode that there's in scene in one of the episodes she takes hers out that she has.
Yeah. So a couple episodes prior, she's having this emotional moment with her husband, the guy who betrayed Al,
and she's
killed
remembering
him.
her first love.
And she's remembering her first love. Pulls out the ring, so they both have the ring.
Yeah, so she knows exactly where that came from and how did it come from.
Absolutely.
And somehow, whether it was his ghost or something otherworldly, saved her daughter.
And there's the douchebag.
A miracle. Well, to him, he's a douchebag. He's actually not
To
a
her,
douchebag.
yeah.
To Al, he's a douchebag because he's the dad of the baby, the new husband. But, so that's going to come into place somehow in the next seasons. In the middle of all that is that now she knows somehow her husband is out there. But him
Doing something,
returning the wedding band is him letting her go.
Yeah.
I saved your daughter. Go live your life. I got to do what I got to do now.
Yeah.
So in fairness.
Oh, I looked at it a completely different way. I looked at it as like, hey, I'm still here, bitch.
I looked at it more as that he's letting go of the ability and at that, like I said, at that moment he chose not to kill what he would normally do.
As the assassin, CIA,
exactly.
right.
He would have easily killed a guilty person of such heinousness, and he doesn't because he's realizing I'm choosing a side on this battle now.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna do what I gotta do now, and that's what I feel like. That's him letting go. Now it will come to haunt him though because she loved him. Yeah. It wasn't like they ended at bad terms.
Yeah,
whatever,
dude.
And she doesn't know all the heinous things he did as a CIA agent, an assassin.
Here's a good question for you because I think I asked you about it and you weren't sure. So let's say you're Al, all right, and then we'll wrap it up because this is done. Yeah. Let's say you're Al. You're Al. You get betrayed by whoever, your best friend.
Yeah, Chapel.
Okay. Wanda's at home 5 years later. You come back. Same circumstances. You come back and you see Wanda's with your best friend.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Would you be upset?
Yeah.
You would be upset?
Of course.
You would be upset knowing that you...
Of course, yeah.
Who would you be upset with, though?
All of the above.
You'd be upset at Wanda for moving on after 5 years?
I don't know about that, if she moves on to someone else, but to move on to such familiar territory.
But wouldn't that comfort, like, she needed someone... I don't know.
No, okay. we have different
which is perfectly fine. Which is perfectly fine.
Yeah,
I would hope that no one.
You would still, no matter what, want it to be a good person. You know what I mean? It's just that
in her eyes, that is a good person.
It's just the coming back to that. That's what I'm saying. Like, others, if you moved on and there's no coming back to it or whatever, but him coming back to that is the concept of, was there anything ever there before then?
Dude, 5 years.
No, not 5 years. I'm talking about while they were together, alive. It's like if they ended up together, was there ever any type of attraction or whatever? You understand? Like,
I can't imagine,
especially a guy just came out of hell.
Hang on, I can't imagine that, considering that she had a conversation with her now husband. Yeah. He left the room. She goes to the bedroom. She pulls out Al's ring and she cries over it. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Oh yeah, no.
That not knowing he's around.
That's what I'm saying.
5+ years later,
I'm just saying realistically, there's no way that you're the concept of this person that you cared about, and this person you cared about end up together. Remember, his count of time too.
It just happened.
Exactly.
Right.
It just happened for him. So it's like, what the, you know what I mean? Like, so quick. And the age of the little girl, it didn't take that long either. You know what I mean? She's like 4. You know what I mean? Then 5 years, it took a year. Like
it took a couple months until she got pregnant.
Yeah, that's not the longest morning.
I get it.
And that's the whole series. Like, did he creep in? Like, yeah, maybe things turned out, but that's kind of like the and I'm sure that'll come up and. Something will happen again in the season. They're wrapping it up. They're doing a quick
there's a recap of season 1.
But yeah, so I realistically, I think there would definitely be some anger, coming out the gate. Like,
I guess I'd be like, all right,
it gets it for the rest of their life. No, I mean it is what it is. But it also then again becomes a whole wrapped up thing, which is stuff I usually don't go into. Is this afterlife belief, spiritual belief? You know what I mean? Like, who ends up with who? Like, are we all individuals in the afterlife, or are we soulmates?
Yeah,
it is like, well, someone's getting screwed at the gate. You know what I mean? Like,
I got here first.
Like,
so
sorry,
as
bro.
She dies, she comes back to me first.
And it's like, well, then who I got? You know, that was the only one. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of like, so it depends on what the beliefs are, and and what is. You know what I mean?
Right.
What happens? There's what our beliefs are, and there's what actually is with energy and things like that. And so it's a wild concept, but again, just this more conflict they throw into this storyline, which is fantastic because there's so many human world problems going on with all these different individuals. Like the senator, that guy's his son is an illegitimate son. He's like covering up from, and this guy's forcing him to be president. Right. And then of course you have like the real world thing of going on between his widowed wife and her husband, and then the actual murders and crime that's human crime and things going on in the world on top of all this evil and the Verminator. And just the note I want to end on that I love about the series is that it gives you, and we've talked about off air about like Thanos and like being able to identify or understand a villain and like, well, maybe he was hurt, or maybe he was injured, or maybe there's more reasoning, and that's kind of like the new thing, not the new thing, but a thing now for a while in current film and storyline, especially in the superhero world, of understanding the villain.
Why are you doing
and why
this?
are they doing this? Why Loki did things the way he did because of his situation, and trauma and all these things that come into play. Where what I like about this show is you have that, but then they give you hell.
Yeah.
They give you the devil. They give you the Verminator. Straight up demon, no
No
reasoning,
questions
just
asked,
likes
dude. Just
evil.
evil.
You can hate him. It's okay. You can just hate
Yeah,
this guy.
yeah. You
There's
don't have to
nothing to
understand
understand.
nothing.
He needs to die. Crush him, kill him. He's pure evil. He's a villain.
Yep.
A true, no questions asked, no problem. It's a villain.
Yep.
You know, and that's what's cool. And in a time in the 90s where that was still kind of the thing, hey, villains are just villains. Right. And you had to look deeper into things like Batman the Animated Series. You had to look deeper, you know, beyond certain scenarios. And then they started doing it. They did it with Mr. Freeze, and they started going to like, well, there's a lot of
trying to save his wife
to these villains. And in Spider-Man animated series too, they started giving you explanation. They started getting to like, well, maybe there's more to and why they're this way, and understanding because again, mortal evil. Right. And McFarlane's big on his brand with that. Is it's not all good. Good is not all good, and all bad is not bad. And there's a gray area, and that's why I like them. They go, well, there is all evil. Yeah. There is, and then that evil. Quench it, get rid of it, and Verminator. And yeah, he's an easy guy to hate, man.
Yeah.
He's and entertaining, so that's for sure. So thank you for joining us on this episode of Comics, Collectibles, and Cafecitos. That's season 1 of Spawn. Please jump on it. We'll eventually do season 2 and season 3. That episode will come out. We're doing other stuff. Misfits is one that we're going to do. And, of course, check out RamFam.
RamFamCollectibles.com. Free shipping over $99. Same day, next day shipping.
Great stuff. And if you're at the South Florida local area shows, he sells in person. He's doing a deal to have things exclusively sold through another online availability. But even in the South Florida area, at events like the Jingle Mingle Jamboree, which will be December 9th, Saturday, Anthony will be with us, or SuperCons or Sunrise Comic Con and things like that. He does great artwork now. He's since episode 1, since we got together. Well, since our first conversation, we haven't aired that episode. We have clips of it, though. He's been really taking off with the drawing on the Funko Pops and the different characters.
Therapeutic, man.
It's like really cool, but the artwork is amazing, and now he has it identified, signed with his sticker. It's a whole legit process going on now, so get into that and check them out. And, of course, Fanatically Correct. Check out our previous episodes, and we'll most likely have the audios from all comic collectors and cafecitos on our audio for Spotify and Apple Air podcasts and all that, and, of course, the video on the YouTube channel at Random Collectibles. So thank you for joining us. We'll make it saying peace.
Thanks.
And there you have it, folks. This has been Comics, Collectibles, and Cafecito. You crazy kids.
Obey all robots.